Hello, welcome to another episode of Somewhere Between a film and TV podcast. We're your host. I am Daniel Parra.
And I'm Erwin Trejo.
And number one, thank you so much for listening and watching. Number two, Erwin, what are they going to do?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Please do. We have gotten a whole lot of traction from you guys. We've seen some of our videos
a bunch
doing.
Of tractors.
like machinery. Right? No.
Okay.
And then,
all right.
So what we like to do here is imagine you got
not support each other's jokes.
Imagine you got out of a theater with your friend. You'll want to talk about it. And especially this one. I saw a lot of people with ALIEN ROMULUS walking out around outside talking about it.
I saw these movies by myself.
So did I. And because I really wanted to see these with people, but everyone was either unavailable or like out of town. But I am going to watch ALIEN ROMULUS again.
I chose to watch this movie by myself.
Mm-hmm. So what we like to do is we review movies and then we get off topic, but then we circle back around.
Like a tractor.
That's what we like to do here. Erwin?
I don't know nothing about tractors.
No, I don't either.
Okay.
Actually, no,
why'd you bring that up?
You brought it up.
Okay.
Erwin?
Yes.
With Alien, the franchise, what are your thoughts on them? Why is Aliens your favorite? And
it's a great movie.
Aliens is your favorite one?
I didn't say it was my favorite one.
You just answered my question. You said it's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Okay. What do you think of these? Have you seen all of them?
I haven't seen all of them.
Yeah.
I've seen Prometheus. You remind me that I've seen Alien Covenant.
Which is, yeah. Oh, yeah. Fun story about Alien Covenant is we were supposed to go watch this together when it came out in high school. And then Erwin came and was like, hey, guys, I saw this movie last night, it turns out. And then he proceeded to watch it again.
Yeah, I can watch multiple movies.
I mean, yeah, you can watch more than one movie.
Yeah. I can watch the same movie over and over.
Okay, but do you dislike any of them? Do you like all of the ones you've seen?
I think so far the only one I've seen that I dislike is... Or not even I don't know. I don't want to say dislike because I still like certain parts from Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've seen Alien 3.
Okay.
And Resurrection. I've only seen videos of Resurrection,
mm-hmm.
but not the actual movie.
Resurrection. Can I tell you something?
No. After you said that, I don't want to hear anything else from you. You're like, huh? Something sexual? Hey, I gotta tell you something, man.
Just like these movies, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Dude.
So, okay,
Dude. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, there was this one scene.
Is it the thing that looked like a vagina, straight looked like a vagina?
Dude, but it was right against the glass.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa,
no,
what
the
the
face
heck?
hugger?
Yeah.
No, but even when the thing gives birth, like, initially, that's a vagina. And the thing is, I will tell you why. Because my experience with Alien, and I'm going to get a little bit analytical and annoying here. I took a class.
As always.
I took a class on this movie in college.
Okay.
Over half of the
first
unit.
one?
Yeah.
Or just the...
No, just the first one specifically. Okay. Over half of the unit was about Alien.
Yeah.
I could tell you the ins and outs of that movie.
I would love to hear it because Alien is my favorite movie.
No, I adore Ever.
No, from the franchise.
Okay.
Ever. What are your thoughts on when people ask you, what's your favorite movie of all time?
I don't have one because I've seen so many. And like, I get the question, but then I'm also like, that's hard. There's like a billion movies.
I like a question where, which movies like define you?
Yeah.
Like if you say like, okay, this is a part of me. Type of movie.
So, I mean, for us, I really think if you like movies at all, you pick Alien. You pick Aliens.
Yeah.
You pick really... If you say Alien Resurrection, I'd kind of be interested in what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
But
it's like, I don't care about anything. I don't care about
I've seen
rules
all of
or
these.
Society.
I've seen... Are you the Joker?
If you look,
the Joker's
Resurrection.
Like, no, the Joker's like, I'm chaotic. And I'm like, I like
Resurrection.
Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I adore this franchise a lot. I can't say I grew up with it because I don't think we got to watch these until we were like older teenagers, right?
Yeah, that's true. The only ones I was experienced to was Alien versus Predator.
Which, okay, so the thing about that is those movies came out at a time where you're like, oh my God, what am I watching? Like as a kid, we talk about FX movies on here. No. Alien versus Predator is the FX movie. Yeah. I think when I was a kid, no other movie was on more than that one.
Yeah, was it? I don't know if I was I think it was the second one that I was watching as often. That's the one you said.
Requiem is horrible, and the thing about that is I still like the concept. I know some people don't like the idea of putting it into a town in modern day. I like that. And the thing I told you where they were interviewing Fede Álvarez, and they were like, "Oh my God, what if you and Dan Trachtenberg like co-wrote and co-directed an Alien versus Predator movie?"
I do love the movie Prey,
but I actually haven't seen it,
Oh,
and I need to see that. But I keep hearing that they were like, "Oh, I mean, Romulus is like Prey, pretty much."
Oh yeah, I can
because
see that.
there's a lot of similarities, but. I think that would be a cool idea. I was just joking with you. I was like, "Oh my God, they've never done that. Imagine an Alien versus Predator movie
Again."
And, yeah, but with this franchise, even the bad ones have something interesting going for them, which I really admire. Alien and Aliens are two of the best movies ever made. Which one's my favorite? I don't know. I just think that the first two are
great.
two of the best movies ever made.
I feel like when I talk to other people about the Alien franchise, they always see it from two different ones, right? Where it's like horror and then one's action.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, all of these movies have that.
They have horror elements, and they will always have action elements. The only one that is straight horror is the first one.
Yes.
And I would argue Alien 3. But I heard that Romulus also took a lot of inspiration from something I still really need to play is Alien Isolation. Because I've heard that, like...
I witnessed that game.
Yeah?
I didn't play it, but I witnessed it.
No, you watched someone play it, right?
Yeah.
And I've
By
heard
that, I didn't watch, like, a YouTube video of someone playing it.
No, he watched
I was right next to my
roommate,
my friend while he was playing the game, and I was just there sitting there eating my popcorn or watermelon, whatever it may be, and I would just be scared with him.
It's still great, though. Like, I heard it's great.
Yeah,
right?
the game itself is good.
I love the idea, like, because making another one of those, I still want to play it because the idea of having, like, an immersive being hunted,
Dude,
it's a great idea.
It was intense. His room dark.
Yeah.
And it was just him going through it. I'm like, wait, don't go yet. Don't go yet. Just wait. The entire time.
I love the atmosphere of Alien. It's still scary, still holds up. I got to actually watch it at a drive-in a couple months ago. It was awesome, yeah. So I didn't see the re-release that they did with my girlfriend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
It was one of our first dates, actually.
So why was... Okay.
So then, why weren't you invited? Because. And then they were like... Alien 2 is great. Alien 3, I have only ever seen the assembly cut that I know. Look, David Fincher's like top 5 favorite directors of mine. I know he doesn't want to be associated with that movie. Too bad for him. It's still really good. And I'm like, because I haven't seen the theatrical one that everybody hates.
Yeah.
And with the assembly cut, they had to go and sort of go back to his original vision because he refused to touch anything from the movie again. He was like, why would I work on that again?
Yeah.
Alien 4 is horrible, but it still has interesting things going on in it. There's a literal clash of visions in there, though, because Joss Whedon wrote it to be, like, you know, really quippy and, like, the Avengers sort of tone.
Oh, okay.
And then I heard that Firefly was kind of like that.
Okay.
But then the director
Was Firefly a movie or a show?
Movie, then show.
Oh, okay.
But then I heard that the director of it was like, I got to take this seriously. What are you talking about? And so... You have a super serious movie where people are delivering lines that you can tell are supposed to be said with a kind of like Robert Downey Jr. cadence, but they're being said as dead serious.
Oh, okay.
So you're like, what is this clash of like tones? What is this? So there are lines that are so obviously a joke, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, and you said that you liked things about Alien Covenant. Can I tell you something? Like, I consistently experience this with this franchise. I tend to watch one of them, like it, and then think about it a lot, watch it again, and then really love it. And with Covenant, when I saw it again recently, I was like, this movie's really good. I was like...
I haven't seen that movie since the year... Like, the last time I think I saw that movie was, like, the year after it was released. Because I remember when it was released, I saw the movie a couple of times. But then I saw it one more time, but I just... Honestly, I can't remember...
Really?
That movie as much. I just remember liking... I liked the movie as a whole. Yeah. But there were some parts I just didn't like. But I cannot
I couldn't name any of the things that are... I mean, it's mean-spirited and everybody dies and nobody wins at the end of it.
I mean, the majority of these movies are like that. Yeah. So... This
is like... Romulus is what? The one where...
Not
even. Because like she like takes the alien at the end towards like whatever planet she's headed to.
But I mean, at the end... One person survives, but at what cost?
Yeah, of everything.
Yeah.
So, before we get into Romulus specifically, I do also want to say I think Prometheus is great until it's not. Like, I think that...
I love Prometheus.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I just think...
I can see why why people wouldn't like it, though.
Overall, I do think it's a great movie. It's just there's too much, like... That's so dumb. Because only with the characters. I think that
Michael Fassbender kissed himself.
that's in
Covenant, right?
Yeah. That's whenever he's like, I will do the fingering, you do the blowing. Like,
that's not what happened.
That's what happens. He says that. That's a line.
Oh, with the
like
the flute or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my god. Wait, what? The whole movie's playing in my head.
No, you were like, that didn't happen. Yeah, no, trust me, it happened. So, before we get into Romulus, I do want to say I'm happy this movie's doing really well. The marketing was great for it. Yes. I think really great. Those popcorn buckets kick ass. Like, I really want
love that.
Because something I told you. How was your crowd for this movie?
I mean, it was a good crowd.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything.
That's for a different review.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. No one really reacted, but at the same time, nobody reacted to the parts where they didn't like.
Yeah.
So.
No, and mine was responsive. Like, I think it's because I saw it on a Friday night at like 8 p.m. It was sold out, and I had the best kind of, not talking, but like the best kind of response crowd, because this movie goes back to basics. I feel like if we're gonna get into critiques a little bit later, maybe a little bit too back to basics for a little too long, but before it gets into its insane third act, which I thought was like a really fucking cool idea, I thought that the facehuggers are a huge threat in this one.
Yes, out of all the movies, this one showcased more of the facehuggers
because it's straight up Fede Álvarez's work. Though, have you seen any of it?
What was the thing he did last?
He did Don't Breathe.
Yes.
And Evil Dead.
No. That's the newest one they...
Not the newest one. The newest one is Evil Dead Rise, which is good, but Evil Dead...
Like the remake one?
Yeah.
No.
So, what do you think of Don't Breathe?
I thought it was a really good movie.
Yeah? Yeah. I think he kind of apes his own concept in that one a little bit.
Wait, what?
I know. It means takes.
Okay. Why would you say that?
From Don't Breathe, because there's a whole segment where they're like, don't breathe, and like I'm like, I mean, that's awesome,
good.
Yeah. It's like,
okay, anytime a movie just says the title,
anytime a movie does anything, and they're like,
it just plays, this is great.
No, but before we get into like all of our positives and everything, Fede Álvarez's work, I love like the two things of his that I've seen. That Evil Dead remake is awesome. It kind of made me think that this would be a bit more like gory than it was. Not that I wanted that, but I was anticipating that. And this movie has like spurts of excessive violence.
Yes.
But I also love Don't Breathe. I think that movie has such a high replayability factor. And
wasn't Dylan Minnette in that?
Yeah. And we love Dylan Minnette.
We do.
Yeah. But Alien Romulus, what did you think of it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I genuinely loved it. It definitely, I guess what you mentioned it. For me, it was a positive. If we want to get into the positives right now.
Are we getting into positives first?
Yeah, we can do the positives first.
Okay.
How it just went back to the basics.
Yeah.
How you mentioned it. So much of it just reminded me how much I love the first Alien a lot. And what the thing about this movie in particular is the characters. There's one character I love, and I can't wait to see this movie again because I do plan on watching it again.
Was it not David, but
Andy?
Andy. Really?
The AI.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Everything about him, it was just, he made me care so much about some like artificial intelligence robot, and like the sister, like the brother and sister dynamic.
My favorite parts of this were definitely Andy and Rain.
Yeah. Both of them, they were just great this entire the entire time. Every time they were on screen, I was just locked in with them.
Okay. I also love this movie a lot. I told you that while I was watching it, I was like, this is really good. This is a really well crafted horror movie. The atmosphere's there. It's great. I was like, but I don't know if it's because I heard that there was a third act that was crazy or something, but I was just like sort of anticipating for the thing to happen. I don't know what it was. I didn't know
either. I remember, because I remember in theater when I was watching the movie, and then all three of them, right? It was Rain, Andy, and then the sister.
Right.
That left, and it felt like the movie was about to end. And then I was just like, oh, well, this is weird.
No, genuinely, if it would have ended there, I would have been like, it was all right, I guess.
I was like, I loved it, but like, it just ends so abruptly.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so weird to think. But then again, it's like, with the knowledge of the Alien franchise.
This franchise is known for having a secret, like, additional thing that happens after.
But not even that, though. It's just like, you saw what happened beforehand, too, where she literally stabbed herself, or inject herself with the...
You would think that, like, usually that would be set up for like the next movie, and then you'd be like, what happens? But then thankfully they don't do that, because they like do that whole thing where they showed like was it like a rat and the remnants after the fact.
Yes.
But I thought this movie was so well executed for so long, but I was kind of wondering when it was going to excel and become its own thing.
Yes.
Because I was like, look, I know what you're doing here. This is basically if The Force Awakens were an Alien movie. And I think that, like, because it's...
I love Force Awakens.
I do too, just to fully clarify. But we know that structure. We saw Twisters. It follows that, like...
I love Twisters.
So do I. But, like, Top Gun Maverick.
I love Top Gun Maverick.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I haven't seen Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I have. It's not that good.
Okay.
But like,
whoa. So we're just naming movies
that follow the whole reboot cool thing.
Okay.
I came out of this and I was like, Scream 5. And...
I've seen Scream 5.
I love Scream 5.
I love Scream 5.
I know the thing, you know?
Okay.
Here's what you loved about the original, but like what I expect out of when they do that, I'm like, but what's your saying? Like, what's your stamp on this? And this one was to make it viscerally scary in terms of the idea of everything is a threat. And I loved they did this sort of 35mm emulation to make it look more like the original. It was shot on digital, but they put that like film grain kind of over it. Even from the titles, it's like the throwback to the original, where it's like in space and then it's this dead silence.
Oh, everything with the sound editing is amazing. I love when he just went dead silence.
That's because, a game.
Oh well. But I remember that in theaters where like not just like you. I don't know. I love that entirety of that part where it's just her in space, and then it's just like the shot of them in space and everything. It was amazing.
Like, I've heard some of the more harsh critiques of this movie that people think it's just people keep calling it the greatest hits of the Alien franchise. What I don't fully agree with there is I know that some people are getting tired of the love letter to the franchise, but I thought that this movie was doing enough of its own thing.
Yes.
If you're one of the people that's more interested in Covenant and Prometheus's more like godly sort of philosophical questions, they don't do that here. They reference those movies.
Yes.
Even the design for like the fucked up creature thing looks like the guy at the beginning.
Oh, at the very end?
Yeah.
Yes. I thought it was something like that because they do make a reference to Prometheus.
Yeah.
And so I was like, is that supposed to be one of the creatures from Prometheus?
It looks really close to it.
Yeah, it's very close. But then again, like, even those creatures from Prometheus, they're half.
You know what it reminded me of? Did you ever see that movie Splice?
Yes.
Where I was like,
I was
like, are they gonna fuck this thing or like no, because it's implied that whenever he's like feeding off of Isabella Merced, I thought it was good. He was about to like breastfeed off of her.
That's what I thought too.
I genuinely, the way they show it, I was like, this is like barbarian level shit, and I admire the commitment to making that like that's straight horror movie stuff, and I think it's cool that they went back to that because if I were to critique Covenant's whole horror element of it, it doesn't fully commit to that. Like, yes, the deaths in that movie are violent and they're scary, but they don't go for that the whole time. They kind of like forgets that they're even doing that after a while because they're like, what's David doing? Which I don't mind. But this one was contained and specifically about like what's another positive you would say that you enjoyed about this movie?
I would say
let's get into the set pieces in this movie.
No, I'm still thinking what are my other positives. I don't know. I just can't. I guess I think because I just keep looking back and like trying to compare it to like the originals too, which sucks. But just because it's in a franchise on its own, yes. But it's just also the amount of references that it would make.
I can tell you this much. Even the references aside, let's say this is the first of its kind movie.
Yes.
It would be great. I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah, it would be considered.
It doesn't reference enough plot points for it to be too heavily tied in. Yes, they run into, and we'll get into the whole AI deepfake animatronic thing that's in this movie.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
I guess we can.
I mean, yeah.
It didn't really bother me.
It's in the middle for me.
Yes.
Because it's not a positive or a negative. I think the idea is great. I think if anyone were to ever tackle the idea of resurrecting a dead AI, uncanny valley feeling thing and do it well, I think that the Alien franchise, what they could do is make it feel unnatural and kind of creepy, and it does. It feels like that.
Well, yeah, just because it is robotic.
And you're able to utilize that. Like the mouth looked kind of off for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that because with a robot, you can literally credit to, well, it looks weird because it's a robot.
Right.
I'm like, damn, you can get away with that. And,
and
say
but I mean, just because you can say that doesn't mean it looks good too.
No, well, I didn't even think it looked that bad either.
I didn't think it looked bad.
It's not like that weird hollow Tarkin from Rogue One.
Oh, yeah, that one did not look good.
Or Carrie Fisher or anything like that. But I know if you hate it, if you think that it's like disrespectful and gross, I will respect that. Like it's not something.
I think another positive for me was just it didn't seem like they were using a lot of CGI. In this movie.
So this movie was also marketed in the same way Force Awakens was, where they were like, we're going back to our practical effects. And you can tell because they even said that there's a scene in this that the entire cast had to like turn away from because they did it practically.
Yeah.
And I do believe the scene that they were talking about was the one with Isabella Merced towards the end.
Dang, really?
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, that scene was intense.
Yeah. Whatever. It's like the whole thing where she pulls her out of the...
Yeah. That was... Yeah. Wow.
So with the positives, the reason why I want to bring up the set pieces is because this is a horror action hybrid-ish, but it definitely leaning more towards...
Hybrid?
Oh, yeah. Just like everything in this franchise. Horror 100%.
Yes. But
I want to talk about how creative the lead up to the third act is that you think is the third act.
You talking about when Rain puts the chip back in Andy and it becomes more action heavy?
It's that whenever they're climbing up the spaceship ladder.
Yes. Oh, like an elevator?
They're in like the wall of xenomorphs from...
Yes.
Yeah. I thought that was like creepy and you could just see them in like the ground like just sitting there.
Yes.
I thought that was great because you said before we even recorded that they have a really animalistic thing about them. Like, do you find the xenomorphs still scary within the context that they're showing?
Yes, always. Yeah. And just in this franchise, yes. Not in
not
Alien
like
versus
AVP,
Predator,
where they're just idiots. Like,
well, because even when you put it out, I was like, oh yeah, they are. It's a human in a costume. Yeah. Because it just stands on its hind legs like this, and then just like this. Yeah, and I'm like,
it's obviously someone's that's just like moving around.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't like that.
And it works for Predator because that's obviously like a guy. Yeah. It's already a guy.
I don't know. I just liked what you said. It's like, who would I root for, Alien or the Predator? And it's like you would think Predator just because it had
the xenomorph has always been depicted as like nasty and vile, and even I think since the Predator's already even more like looking like a man, you're like, well, that guy because he like has stuff to live for.
Yeah, it makes sense. He does this for sport.
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
That's his whole thing.
Yeah.
And then the xenomorph's just like, I gotta be the perfect organism. What a douchebag. It's like...
What do you mean I have to be pregnant with you?
They're always evolving, but yet when they evolve, they get uglier.
Damn.
Like the human hybrid thing, that dude's like ugly.
Yeah, it is ugly.
But ugly in a good way. I'm not critiquing the design. That's a freaky design.
Yes.
And it's the sort of intentional kind of...
It made me think because once that scene happened too... I was thinking because one thing they mentioned is just the fast evolution.
Yeah.
Right? I was thinking at that time if they were going to like progress the creature that was created, the hybrid, into something more, not just more interesting, but more so in the fact of like having more human tendencies that we were going to see. But those are just questions.
Yeah.
But I was just curious to see if they were going to do something like that.
So... With that, though, like leading into the evolution, I still want to tie back into this. The whole set piece with the acid rain kind of... Where they're... Because I thought this was such a great setup. It's an incredible use of the Chekhov's gun thing, which I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No.
The idea is you introduce something early on that you're like, that's going to come into play later. How? Why?
Oh, that's the name of it?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And it's whenever they see the rat floating that's dead, and then you're like, they're talking about how the zero gravity thing resets every few minutes, and you're like, that's cool. And then once you see it happen with like everything floating up, and then all of like that's such a creatively tense scene with all of the acid blood floating around.
Yes.
Because then once you see it counting down, you're like, how do you even get out of the situation?
Yes.
Because also... We talk about stakes a lot. where you're like, how do I know if I can root for these people or not? With the Alien franchise, what I really admire about it is they don't really want these characters to stick around anyway. So they can all die.
They could all die, yes.
I thought that before we even get into the performances of that, is there anything else that stood out to you in terms of the set pieces? Because there is one for me that I adored. And
I say my favorite set piece was, honestly, it was with the facehuggers.
I was gonna, that's mine. Yeah, but actually, you know what?
It was just, I just loved seeing the facehuggers, like multiple of them, just chasing through like the corridors, just like the hallways of it, and then just running. I don't know why I love that.
Can I tell you something?
No.
I'm going to anyway.
Okay.
So, in terms of set pieces, I think that this movie's escalation factor works really well. I couldn't even tell you my favorite one because I feel like once the movie starts to decide that it's going to get going, it does not stop.
Dude, I can't, I'm sorry. But it's like when Andy, Rain, and the other guy. Yeah. I'm blanking his name.
The douchey, British guy? Or...
No, the British guy.
Yeah.
No.
The one that's like, there's something in the fucking water.
No, not that guy. The other guy.
That's in the trailer we've seen like a million times. I know
the brother. Let's say the brother, right?
The way that guy died.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That scene right there just reminded me of like Alien versus Predator. I don't know why. Oh yeah. Like that type of set, but how he was running and everything, and then Andy just shut down the door, even though it looked like he barely could make it. Yeah. I don't know. Some of the lines that they say to one another, it just feels so real.
Do you mean whenever he's like, but I didn't?
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was great. I thought that there's a thing that they set up that I thought was going to go differently was whenever he was like, I need to override your programming. You have a new mission. I thought that the whole thing about doing what's best for Rain, how I thought that was going to go is how, like, let's say something like, I don't know, Megan or like Child's Play, where it's like, this is the best for you. What are you talking about? Yeah. And like they're starting to do insane shit.
Yeah.
I thought that's where that was going.
No, I love that. Because that moment paid off so well in the scene where the sister gets taken by the alien and you see the alien just waiting. Right? That was so good because he just knew. He's like, if I open that door, the alien's going to come in here and kill all of us.
No, because they were even like, that thing's following us. Like,
yes.
I think that the xenomorph design is kind of it's so iconic now.
So iconic.
To a point, though, where you're kind of like, how do you take this back to elevating it to being scary? Because while I do really enjoy Covenant and Prometheus, they tried to break it down in a way where they were like, why does this thing exist? And then I don't mind that. And I think it's funny, the back of your Blu-ray says questions will be answered, as if Prometheus doesn't have more questions than it does answers. Which, like, I think it's fine. If Ridley Scott wants to tackle that, he should be able to. It's his franchise.
Yes.
But at the end of it, though, the mystery of why these things do what they do is still fascinating. And it's not like you really want the answers.
Yeah. Even if there was an answer, it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because it's just how, I guess, I don't know, the thing you talked about earlier too, where it's just different ideas and how they're executed, because you were talking to me about how Resurrection has the whole hybrid.
I'll get into it in a second, but yeah.
And you can have it where these aliens, they're more of a threat in my eyes when you're isolated in a small space.
Like isolation.
There you go.
Yeah.
And in Alien versus Predators, they're just wide open.
Yeah, they're just everywhere. Yeah. And to be fair, they're fighting each other, and then humans are just involved.
Yeah, they're just there.
Yeah. But I think we talk about potential and execution all the time. It's not often you get to see something have its potential and execution done both poorly and done well.
Yes.
Alien has been trying to tackle this exact concept for a while. They did it also with, what was the other one I said? Requiem. And that movie's fucking awful though. But like, they have been trying to get the hybrid human alien thing across for a while. Resurrection does it horribly because that design for that alien's disgusting, and you're supposed to like, not disgusting in a good way though, that design's just horrible. I know Resurrection has its fans, I'm not one of them, and I think there are cool ideas in it.
Yes.
I think it's worth seeing. I think it's also awful though, and the entire thing at the end where they're trying to make you feel some sort of sympathy towards a human hybrid alien, because It's stuck in its own existence. And it's like, how do you try and create something like that? The whole Weyland-Yutani Corporation, where they're like, we have your best interests at heart. Obviously, they don't. It's supposed to be about like soulless corporation.
Yes.
And the idea of achieving.
It's interesting that they haven't really explored that, like the corporation themselves.
I think that's what the show's going to be about. There's a show coming out called Alien Earth, and I think it's supposed to be more about the...
I was about to sneeze. I wasn't dabbing. I was about to sneeze.
I think it's more about the like whole idea of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation.
I would love to hear, just because they played such a big part in all these
They're
movies.
always like looming in the background.
Yes, and I just want to know more on the fact of why are they so... Because they always have that answer out there. Well, they're interested in this organism just because it's able to adapt so well and possibly become something better for humans. But the thing is, like, why are they so captivated by just this one organism and nothing else?
Yeah.
Too, so
because it's always like the xenomorph and the face hugger, and you know exactly how it goes. I saw a skit on TikTok the other day that was like, whenever your homie just got attacked by a face hugger, but he says he's fine, and then it was like, and then they were like, the guy starts like twitching out. They're I think that the face hugger, like chest bursting thing in this one is crazy.
Yeah.
That's officially when the movie's like, all right, we're starting. And then like, I think that the setup though of this is great. You have to care about everyone. It does have a similar setup to Don't Breathe. It's about people like down on their luck, but in space. And like the whole thing where they're like poor, but they got to go in. I loved the setup for this.
Yes.
I loved.
Well, because they just want to leave where they're at, and like they want to have a better life for themselves.
So that leads into me wanting to talk about both the set design and the characters in this. But the set stuff, how did you feel about it? Did you like the atmosphere?
Absolutely. It just reminded me I was back into the first Alien movie and the second one as well. Yeah. Just because especially when they spent some time there at the corporation, or I don't know what jobs they were doing. Yeah. It definitely reminded me of all that. And then especially when they're in space again, with the same type of suits and equipment and everything as well.
So people were talking about how this movie uses its budget really well. I think it was made for $80 million.
Wow, it does not seem.
I know, that. And then we were talking about how Borderlands was like $40 million above that, and the fucking comparison difference is like insane. And with that though, this like looks like it was produced on the level. I don't know how much Dune was made for, but maybe it's because the space stuff is so wide scope. That's something I thought was great, because I thought the grungy sort of, what do I call this? Capital kind of dirt vibe of whenever they're on the ground is great. It's the, like, even the detail in the shoes. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because they're selling those Reebok shoes that they're wearing and how like dusty and dirty they are. I think that even...
How much?
I don't know. I think retail, like, I don't know. I gotta look at that.
Oh, okay.
But... they already look pre-worn, so I was kind of like, I'd rather get them clean. Yeah. But I think that level of attention to detail and the whole integration of how this movie looks, in terms of like making it look even grittier and grimier. But then once you get into space, the whole idea of how vast everything is, in order to fully convey that, you're like, once this stuff starts happening, they're stuck. Yes. And I think that's a really great visual way of representing that.
Yeah. I don't know, like another positive I was just thinking about right now is just everything with the urgency, which you talked about. Yeah. Because it's just not everything what's on the ship, but what the ship itself, how the fact it was just falling into that ring of I forget what it was. It was like a ring of like rocks.
Oh yeah,
around.
Yeah.
And it's just like eventually they have to leave in order to get away from that ring itself. Yeah. So I don't know, it's just a lot about this movie where it's like they had to like keep moving and moving and moving.
No, I think so. When I first got out of it, I was like, I really, really like this movie. But then it's been like 2 days since I've seen it, and my love for it just kind of grew the more I thought about it. And I was like, damn, I loved that movie.
It just reminded me of how much I love this franchise. Yeah. It genuinely did. And I'm like, I want to see all these movies again.
No, and then I think on its own merits, it works. Like, if you hadn't seen any of these, I think you're fine. I think that you wouldn't fully go into this being like, I don't know what's going on. Because they even explained, they're like, the Nostromo had one survivor left, and then this guy like half dead. But I want to address something, and it's more of the philosophical kind of why the designs are the way that they are. So I told you I took a class on this, like in the first one. A lot of these movies are based off of H.R. Geiger's designs for xenomorphs and like the face hugger stuff. A lot of it is intentionally, and I'm not even trying to be funny here, it's hypersexual on purpose. The
xenomorphs?
Even the xenomorphs, like their heads are supposed to be representative of a kind of phallic imagery.
Okay.
Because the reason why I say that is because there's a scene in this movie that's straight up like this design, like it's this egg hatching thing on a wall.
Yes.
That is a vagina.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I did get that. Yes.
The reason why, and you could tell me that I'm like reading into this way too much, but the thing is, that stuff's on purpose. Because it's supposed to be about this sort of violation of you being trapped in the sense of being stuck in a place by yourself. That's why these creatures come off so violent, and that's why they are a very threatening force. It's supposed to be this connection of things in your mind that you associate this imagery with something kind of like private and personal. So you even
I actually love that.
Yeah. You even said, why are there so many maternity things in this? These movies very specifically are supposed to represent this kind of like
every movie.
This sort of the sort of like feeling of losing the loss of urgency during something like pregnancy. It's supposed to be like a kind of fear. It's why the chest bursters come out the way that they do, because it's not your stomach necessarily, but it's close enough that you can have the visual connection of it. And the face hugger designs, when you see the inside of that, look up face hugger inside design. I promise you. There's one when it sticks to the wall and you're like,
whoa.
And I know that people are getting this message because I saw a tweet that was like, this movie's on some freak shit. They were like,
but it's always been that way. And so that's where I think it's just in this movie in particular, they showcase that face huggers more so. Yeah. And that's where I feel like it's just so blatantly obvious. But now I can definitely see that with the xenomorphs now, for sure. And it's just like understanding more of the like animalistic side.
No, it's supposed to be tapping into the primal part of them, and yet your brain does this subconscious thing where it makes them seem even scarier because of that. And I think that is brilliant. It is.
Because I also love the fact that you said it's like something that's so private. Yeah. And it just becomes so out there.
Yeah, because like that's why the designs are this way, and then that's why even the sort of violation of the fact that they put their eggs inside of you and then bursts out of you, of course. That's why even whenever like the sound design in here, I think we touched on this, is amazing. There's one scene with, I'm not sure what this person's name is, but it's whenever, I thought this was another brilliant setup, was the like sort of heat measuring thing.
Oh, yes.
And then that person grabs it and you can see it, and then it's just like bursting out.
Yes.
Even before like you actually see how violent it is, it's already like, that is crazy.
Yeah, that's scary. Yeah.
I thought that this movie used sound design to its like max potential, because that whole scene about like the goosebumps and everything, and then you see him get them. Yeah. I was like, that is so fucking crazy. Yes. It's like
so good.
Yeah. I love this, like, even talking about it more, the more we like talk about stuff like this, sometimes I end up loving it even more.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna see this movie again.
Yeah. I see it again in a couple days. Yeah. But in terms of I don't know if we'll have too many. But
mine, I think my only negative, honestly, is probably, I don't know. I can't. Maybe the switch of thinking that it was gonna end, and then there was more to it.
They do that in all of them, though.
Yeah,
I can't excuse that, like, because I mean they do it in all of them. So
yeah, but that, or it's like maybe. I guess I don't know if like once the hybrid started happening. Yeah. I expected.
I want to talk more about that.
Okay. It's just like I just thought it was gonna be more.
Yeah.
Genuinely, but it just felt like another monster and kind of sort of like xenomorph-esque. But I thought it was gonna have, just because it had those human features, that it was gonna be doing things similar to like how humans would be acting in whatever sense it may be, depending on what the director wanted. Yeah. But that's the only thing I could think of.
Something tells me that we're going to get another one in this line of the franchise, which, do I want to see that character by... We haven't even touched on this, the performances. What did you think of the people in this? Like,
loved it.
Yeah?
Loved it. I think everybody did a great job. The one guy, the cousin...
Okay,
yeah. I loved his storyline, too. How the fact that he hates AI...
Because of the reason why?
Yeah. I love that, too. It gives it a reason why he hates Andy.
Yeah.
And so it just like makes like the whole like group dynamic even more
I do want to say that I do think that the David Johnson who plays Andy is a standout in this movie.
Oh, absolutely. I love him.
There's smart choice in this movie. Making Cailee-Spaeny not an imitation of Sigourney Weaver.
Yes.
But her own thing.
Yes.
I thought that was great, and she's great in this.
I think just because they had that brother and sister dynamic, just like the family.
Yeah.
And you want to root for both of them.
Because if you're going to be doing the same plot points again, you're going to have to figure out, okay, but how do we at least make the investment different here? And I know that Alien 3, it makes a choice that I don't want to ruin if you don't know it. Because
I don't care.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Aliens ends with a lot of the characters surviving.
Yes.
And then Alien 3 ends with all of them dead except for Sigourney Weaver's character.
Wow.
People hated that choice when it came out. Now people respect it because that's like that for the 90s, that's a crazy thing to do. Especially to open your movie like that. It would be
How'd
like
they die?
Off screen.
No, but like what was the reason?
I can't remember the reason why. I like genuinely just remember that it starts and then they're doing like an autopsy on the girl that they're like trying to save throughout all of the second one.
She did too?
Yeah.
What the heck?
I know.
Okay, I guess once I watch the movie,
yes,
I'll be like,
it's a crazy choice, and a lot of people at the time did not respond to it. Imagine your opening minutes of a movie being like, remember Aliens? Well, fuck that.
Like, all right.
And you're kind of like...
I'm not going to lie, though. I do love when movies do that, though, because it's like having their own thing.
I always admire it, but then I'm always like, okay, now that you have chosen to do that...
You better make
earn
sure...
it. Like, like, I want to see why you made that choice.
Yes.
Like, what led you to be like, let's do this.
Yes.
My negatives here are... I really enjoyed most of the fan service here. There's just one line I told you I thought was a little egregious.
I disagree. I already disagree.
It's because, like, I liked the context in which it was used.
Yes.
But I was just like, I kind of wanted that scene to have its own sense of having earned that.
Yeah.
But then
maybe it was a different line.
I think it was just genuinely, maybe it was somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is the climax of the movie. And I was like, but the thing is, I'm obviously wrong here because everybody in my theater clapped.
Like, dude, I love that scene so much.
Yeah.
Wait, say the scene.
Oh, well, well, you know what I did like? Is how he said it a little bit different. I like that he like kind of stumbled on his words because
that's how he was the entire. Yeah.
That's what I did like about that. But, or as I get away from her, you bitch, like that. Yeah. I thought that was great.
Dude, it was so good. That moment, I was just like, let's go.
But I kept trying to tell you that my crowd was awesome.
Yeah.
There was this part where there's this like mountain of face huggers, like, and then everybody, I could hear like, oh my God. And, like,
oh no.
It was cool. It was really cool. Like when you have a genuine theater experience.
And the movie's good.
No, the movie's actually good.
Yes.
And what did that happen when something's bad and they clapped? When I was like, what the fuck, guys?
Or in Borderlands where it's just dead silence with every joke happening.
And you're like, damn. Nah, don't worry. Somebody laughed at one thing in that movie.
And no one laughed at mine.
Yeah. The movie's awful, but check out our review on it and plug that in. But no, I mean, for a little bit,
I didn't know why it was called Romulus until I looked it up. I was like, it's a ship.
Yeah, they say it too.
I was like, why? Why is it called Romulus? And I was like, oh.
One other negative, I guess, is I thought it played a little too close to Alien for. Maybe, but that was sort of my thing.
Yeah.
Because I was like waiting for the thing to happen, but then eventually when it did, I was like, oh, I was like, no, okay, great. And then it's sort of like one of those things where you feel in the moment and then you retract it later.
Yes.
Because you're like, I mean, it's doing its own thing. We're good. But
it definitely took its time to get to, I guess, the moment where it became like Alien.
Yeah.
Or like just that franchise itself. But I guess once it started happening, it was just nonstop.
Yeah. Well, it's because it also took its time to set up the characters enough for you to be like, because if I just was like, these are just people, then I maybe you'd be like 3.5, I guess, like whatever, but it's more than that. I think it tries for more than that.
Yes.
And I don't think that this movie's just a love letter to the franchise. I think this movie is
remember when Rain was gonna sacrifice Andy?
Oh yeah.
And then Rain went back to save Andy, and then at the very end Rain keeps saving Andy. So good.
Yeah.
I love that.
I thought this movie had a lot of heavy investment in its characters, and you know what? I do think that this will replay even better because now that like I know what like to anticipate, I think it'll be it's one of those movies where I think, like, I already loved it the first time.
Yes.
I think it'll be an even better play the second time, because then, not to mention, I think this is going to be one of those cool situations where take someone to see this that hasn't seen it yet. So you can, like, feel their reaction during, like...
Yes, all those scenes. Like, why does it look like that?
Yeah.
Why is it doing that?
Because I even told you that the hybrid, my theater was funny. Because the way in which he's revealed is so out of nowhere.
Yes.
Because it's just a flash, and then you're like, what?
Yeah. Dude, when it first came out of the egg, and you just saw the face, I was like, Prometheus?
Yeah, no, I thought of that too. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I thought that this movie, I also admired its massive commitment to doing that.
Yes.
I wasn't anticipating that it would.
No.
I loved it. What's your score?
4.5.
4.5? Cool, me too.
Hey, nice.
I'm also giving this a 4.5 out of 5. Some small things here and there, but really that's it. And
I don't know. I think you said, like, over time, I probably wouldn't care about like whatever flaws I may have. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely one of those... I think it's my top 3 like Alien movies.
Is that a bold statement to make? I don't really know.
I don't know, because I love so far right now I'd probably say Alien.
Yeah.
Aliens, and then Alien Romulus. I think I'll watch it one more time in order just to confirm it. But then I don't know. It's just so, because my favorite part about the Alien franchise is just how like the first Alien is.
I mean, I just know it's Aliens, and then like what's
maybe like
Romulus, and then
Prometheus,
yeah.
And then
well, actually, Prometheus and Covenant, I feel like I go back and forth on also, because I really like those both about the same.
I want to see Covenant again.
Yeah.
And then Prometheus. I guess I'll watch those back and forth. But
yeah. And then
no, Alien versus Predator.
I was like, don't worry, guys. The best ones are AVP 1 and 2 and Resurrection.
How did the aliens come to the Earth? I don't remember.
They just show up. I think they just like go there.
I just think right now I'm just thinking like a big ass egg just
probably. Yeah, I bet anything.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Paul W.S. Anderson that made that first one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Classic.
You're like, this is nothing like Phantom Thread. That's the wrong one.
Wrong one. I remember doing that often. I'm like, wait, what? And then watching it, I'm like, this is not his movie.
You're like, that's crazy. This guy has an insane filmography.
There will be blood, huh?
All right, thank you guys.
You didn't like that?
No, that was good. I liked
okay.
Yeah,
I just
great
thought
job, man. Oh, you want me to bust out laughing?
You're gonna bust something, huh?
Oh yeah, I am.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much for listening and watching. Up next, we will have a review, and we'll get to it, of Cuckoo.
Yeah.
And what are they gonna do?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Please do. What did you think of Alien Romulus? What's your favorite of the franchise? I also want to know, do you like Resurrection? I want to find those people.
Yeah.
So, thank you again so much for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.